Hey everybody, I'm Chris. Welcome to Lore Spire. We've got another character build for you today, Anista the Angelic Oracle. The first thing I want to say is that this is not your typical boring healing buffing support oracle. Oh no. Anista here does fine with buffs and is great at healing, but she is absolutely phenomenal with fire damage. By mid-game, she should be burning through enemies like nobody's business. Even complete fire immunity won't diminish her fire damage. Anyways, we'll start with the backstory, move to character creation and leveling, and then we'll finish up by building out the Mythic Path. Timestamps will be in the description below, so you can skip ahead if you wish. Now on to the story of Anista, the Angelic Oracle. Anista is an Aasimar, born and raised at a small temple of Sarenrae in southern Kadira. She was born with an odd birth defect. Her hands and forearms were withered and blackened, as though burnt by an intense fire. This malformation not only kept her from participating in combat training, but even kept her from doing many chores that were mandatory for other children of the temple. Fortunately, she had other talents that she worked hard to develop throughout her childhood. Even at a young age, Anista proved to be a competent healer. The gift seemed to come to her naturally. She also possessed a sharp memory that allowed her to excel in academics. However, her greatest talent had to be her natural charm. One way or another, she always seemed to get her way if she were allowed to speak. Well, almost always. There was one question for which she could never get a satisfying answer. As she grew older, Anista grew curious about her parents and why she was so different from everyone else at the temple. When she would ask the priests and acolytes about it, she always received some version of the same vague answer, that Anista's mother was human. She had shown up at the temple in the midst of labor and passed away giving birth to her. The temple had searched the surrounding farms and villages, but no one had any knowledge of her mother. Anista knew the leaders of the temple would not lie about this, but she always felt as though they were holding something back. That they must know why she was so different, but try as she might, she couldn't get the answer from them. When Anista was 15 years and some months old, on a night like any other, her very existence was forever changed. On this night, she had a horrible nightmare. A nightmare of a woman burnt to ash by jets of fire erupting from the tiny infant hands of the child that she had just birthed. A golden-eyed child with blackened, withered arms. Suddenly, Anista awoke, drenched in sweat and trembling. Her golden eyes streamed with tears. Her blackened, withered arms still felt the intense heat of the flames. Anista now knew the truth. No, that's not right. Knowledge is something that can be gained from the reading of a book or the telling of a story. This was different. She didn't just know it, she felt it. Felt it from the papery skin on the tips of her blackened fingers to the very core of her being. This was the surest truth of her life. She was born of flame and could feel that flame now growing inside of her, burning as powerfully as it had on the day of her birth. Inside of her. Then everything went white. Anista woke the next day in her room at the temple with a powerful thirst and reached for the basin of water at her bedside. Empty space. Then she noticed a powerful smell that must have been there all along and opened her eyes. The temple was destroyed. Everything but the stone. Reduced to charcoal. What had happened? She slowly remembered the nightmare and the revelation she had. It was her. She had done this. Or maybe it was something inside of her? Her thirst forgotten, she rushed to see who was there, what was left. Surely the entire temple could not have been consumed by fire while she slept in the middle of it. But it had been. There were charred skeletons in the halls, in the sleeping chambers, and in the courtyard. No one had survived, save for Anista. Anasta should have been devastated. She knew this. Everyone and everything she had ever known was gone, seemingly erased by this cursed fire she could still feel inside of herself. Yes, she should be sobbing. She should be horrified. But she felt the warmth of the fire inside of her, somehow comforting her, almost whispering to her, "It was worth it. Despite all you have lost, you have also gained an understanding of yourself, an understanding of me." And so Anasta set out with a determination to understand and control her inner fire. Through long years of prayer, meditation, and solitude, she learned that, like all fire, the fire inside of her was chaos, and that she could only safely harness it when she was at peace. She learned she was neither a master nor a slave to the fire, but instead its partner. And perhaps most importantly, she learned she must let the fire come forth regularly, else it would build up and burst forth as it had at the temple. Then one night, Anasta's years-long journey of training and self-discovery came to an abrupt end when she had yet another nightmare of a killing fire. Only this time it was not her fire, but demon fire. Yes, demons. They were killing, destroying, and somehow, even more importantly, burning. Yes, burning everything. Anasta awoke, and for the second time in her life, she felt the truth of something more than knowing it. Even if it meant death, she must stop these demons. Immediately, Anasta set forth, one woman with a seemingly impossible task, to utterly destroy an army of demons. And as she began walking, her inner fire whispered, "Don't worry. They may bring fire, but we are fire." I really like this backstory. It leaves a lot of mystery. Is Anasta possessed by some evil spirit or demon? Is the voice in her head some ancestor from her Emberkin heritage, or is it just a coping device to help her deal with the trauma of her life? Are her dreams from a higher power, or just her subconscious piecing things together? And how will all of this affect her as she moves forward? The answers to all of these questions are up to you. Anyways, I really hope you all enjoyed Anasta's story. If you did, or if you didn't, let us know why in the comments section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're down there. Before we start the build, I have a few disclaimers. First off, Wrath of the Righteous is still in beta testing, so some of the things that we choose here could change. Secondly, I am assuming you are playing on core difficulty or lower. I find core difficulty to be challenging enough to be fun, but not so punishing as to be a chore. If you are playing on hard or unfair difficulties, you should probably refrain from taking the few utility abilities that I do take, and focus on maxing out your damage, your saving throws, and your survivability, in that order. Last thing here, I'm getting a lot of buffs in this build. If you have another character in your party that already has a buff spell that I'm taking, you may want to consider taking a different spell. Now let's create Anasta. First, choose custom character, and then pick whichever portrait you like best. My portrait is from the Portrait Pack 2024 full mod on Nexus Mods. It's actually a Kingmaker mod, but the portrait mods from Kingmaker work fine in Wrath of the Righteous. Next, pick the Oracle class with the Enlightened Philosopher archetype. Then pick Asimar, female, and Emberkin for race, gender, and heritage. Now I want to give some background info on the Emberkin. They are descended from fallen angels, and while most of them tend towards good most of the time, Emberkin turn towards evil more often than other angelic heritages. Even those that are usually good and heroic occasionally have spontaneous impulses to commit acts of evil without reason or explanation. This could explain some of the events of Anasta's past. and presents us with an opportunity to make some truly evil choices without breaking from our backstory or the established lore. Anyways, that's just a little lore info to help spice up your playthrough. Here, click on Oblate and choose the healer background. Then Anasta's ability scores are Strength 7, Dexterity 14, Constitution 14, Intelligence 14, Wisdom 10, and Charisma 20. Then put one skill point each into Knowledge Arcana, World, Religion, and Persuasion. Now take the Elemental Focus Fire feat to show Anasta's strong affinity for fire. Anasta has the Blackened Oracle's Curse to represent the events of her birth. Here, choose Cure Spells for your additional spells and take the Flame Mystery with the Molten Skin Revelation. These choices mark Anasta's innate connection to the element of fire and her natural resistance to it. Now take the Bless and Fire Belly spells. And given our backstory, we're definitely going to be selecting Sarenrae as our deity. Anasta's alignment is true neutral, but she struggles with keeping to it. She has her upbringing and connection to Sarenrae pulling her towards good, and whatever her inner fire is sometimes pulling her towards evil. Perhaps by the end of her story, she will have mastered both and achieved true enlightenment. For appearance, choose what suits you best. I like the second face, number 3 skin tone, and the first hairstyle, along with goldenish brown hair. For primary and secondary colors, I chose blue and gold, as these are Sarenrae's colors, and I think they look pretty good together. I opted for no voice here. I'm just going to keep it inside of my head. And for the birth date, I've chosen the 6th of Serenith, but it isn't really that important, so change it if you like. Okay, Anasta is now in the realm of existence, so let's go get her leveled up. Now we're going to be putting all 20 levels into Oracle Enlightened Philosopher. So choose that, and then put one skill point into Lore Nature, Perception, Persuasion, and use Magic Device. And that'll do it for this level. At level 3, put 2 skill points into Lore Religion, and 1 into Knowledge World, and Persuasion. Then select the Greater Elemental Focus Fire feat, and the Cinder Dance Revelation. Take Remove Fear as your spell. At level 4, put your ability point into Charisma, and 1 skill point into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and use Magic Device. Then choose Protection from Alignment Communal as your spell. At level 5, put 2 skill points into Knowledge World, 1 into Lore Religion, and 1 into Persuasion. Then take the Spell Focus Evocation feat and the Remove Sickness and Bull Strength spells. At level 6, put 1 skill point into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and use Magic Device. Then take Resist Energy Communal for your spell. At level 7, put your skill points into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Perception, and Persuasion. Now take the Greater Spell Focus Evocation feat. As spells, we want to take Bane, Eagle Splendor, and Delay Poison Communal. Notice here that we get Mental Acuity, which gives us +1 to our intelligence and will continue to give us an additional +1 at every 3rd Oracle level. At level 8, put your ability point into Charisma and your skill points to Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Perception, and Persuasion. Then take the Protection from Energy Communal spell. At level 9, put your skill points into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and use Magic Device. Then take the Spell Penetration feat, and as your spells, get Remove Paralysis, Prayer, and Holy Smite. At level 10, put your skill points into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and use Magic Device. Then take Flame Strike as your spell. At level 11, put your skill points into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and use Magic Device. As your feat, grab Greater Spell Penetration and take the Firestorm Revelation. Now, Firestorm isn't all that great in a practical sense, but when you use it, it really makes you feel like a powerful master of fire. It's just really cool. For spells, pick up Find Traps, Remove Curse, Freedom of Movement, and Cleanse. And that'll do it for level 11. At level 12, put your ability point into Charisma, and your skill points into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and Use Magic Device. Then for spells, take Bull Strength Mass. At level 13, put your skill points into Lore Religion, Perception, Persuasion, and Use Magic Device. Then take Lightning Reflexes for your feat, and the spells Restoration, Breath of Life, and Heal. At level 14, put your skill points into Lore Religion, Perception, Persuasion, and Use Magic Device. Then take the Greater Restoration spell. At level 15, put your skill points into Lore Religion, Perception, Persuasion, and Use Magic Device. Then take the Great Fortitude feat and the Form of Flame Revelation. As your spells get Burst of Glory, Joyful Rapture, and Resurrection. At level 16, put your ability point into Charisma, and skill points into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and Use Magic Device. Then take the Firestorm spell. At level 17, skill points go to Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and Use Magic Device. Then take the Iron Will feat, and the Waves of Ecstasy, and Shield of Law spells. Here you'll notice that we gain complete fire immunity. At level 18, put your skill points into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Perception, and Persuasion. Then take the Overwhelming Presence spell. At level 19, put skill points into Lore Religion, Perception, Persuasion, and Use Magic Device. Then take the Improved Lightning Reflexes feat and the Heat Aura Revelation. Pick up Cloak of Chaos and Heal Mass for your spells. Finally level 20. Put the final ability point into Strength, and skill points into Knowledge World, Lore Religion, Persuasion, and Use Magic Device. Then take Winds of Vengeance as your last spell. And here on the final results page, we get our final revelation. And let me tell you, it is a doozy. It gives us a bonus on all saving throws equal to our Charisma modifier, which is quite high. It also makes us immune to confusion, exhaustion, fatigue, nausea, and sickened conditions. We can now take 20 on all knowledge checks. And best of all, once per day, if we die, we are reborn as the summoning of our chosen philosophy. Now, to be honest, I don't really know what that means, but it sounds cool as hell. In terms of gameplay mechanics, it means we return to life with full health, which is just oh so sweet. Now, to begin with here, we have to take Mythic Hero, so let's do that. Then choose Close to Heavens as our first ascension, and Ascendant Element Fire for the Mythic ability. At Mythic Rank 2, choose Mythic Hero and take the Spell Focus Evocation feat. Here you'll notice we get Hard to Kill, which allows our negative hit points to drop to double our Constitution score before we die. And we get Heaven's Breath, which gives us 20 resistance to acid and cold, as well as immunity to petrification. At Mythic Rank 3, we'll take the Angelic Mythic Path with the Abundant Spellcasting Mythic ability and the Oracle Mythic Spellbook. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, your Oracle level and your Mythic ranks actually add together to give you a higher caster level. Okay, here we get Sword of Heaven, which increases weapon, ability, and spell damage, as well as increases spell and ability healing. We also get Halo of Light, which affects allies within 50 feet, increasing their AC and saving throws against evil creatures. Plus we get a lot of extra spells. At Mythic Rank 4, take the Spell Penetration Mythic feat. Then as your improved Sword of Heaven, take Everlasting Flame, which extends the duration of your Sword of Heaven to 1 minute per Mythic Rank. At Mythic Rank 5, take Improved Abundant Casting for your Mythic ability, and Piercing Rays as your improved Angelic Halo. Piercing Rays should greatly increase the effectiveness of your party's offensive spells when your Halo is active. At Mythic Rank 6, take the School Mastery Evocation Mythic feat, and take Bestow the Divine for your improved Sword of Heaven. Here we get the Sword of Holy Damage ability, which allows you to transform your damage to holy damage whenever your Sword of Heaven is active. At Mythic Rank 7, take the Boundless Healing Mythic ability, and the Solar Winds Improved Angelic Halo. This increases energy resistance of all allies within 50 feet when the Halo is active. And here we get the Halo's Holy Aura ability, which is basically the same as Holy Aura, but offers slightly more protection. At Mythic Rank 8, take the Sorceress Reflex Mythic feat, and the Heavenly Host Greater Sword of Heaven improvement, which allows you to grant your Heavenly Sword enhancements to all allies within 50 feet. At Mythic Rank 9, take the Greater Abundant Casting Mythic ability. With all 3 Abundant Casting abilities, you'll be able to cast nearly 100 spells per day, not including your abilities or 0-level spells. And now for the grand finale! At Mythic Rank 10, take the Extra Mythic ability Last Stand Mythic feat, which I think pairs quite nicely with our final revelation that we get at level 20. I mean, being unkillable and then coming right back to life once you are killed has got to be devastating for enemy morale. Then take the Grand Blessing Greater Sword of Heaven improvement, which maximizes our damage and healing from our Sword of Heaven. And that finishes up our Mythic Ranks. Alright, this was another long video, so I want to thank everybody who stayed to the end. Thank you. This took a lot of work, and it's nice to know that people are enjoying it. Tell us what you thought about the build down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we are going to be bringing you a lot more character builds, guides, and playthroughs for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. This has been Chris with Lore Spire. We'll see you next time.